Hello. You're about to enjoy the warm cup of hot silky chocolate that is the Midnight Gadgies. This week, we're talking about overthinking, self-comparison, and insecurities. So sit back, relax, and keep your hand out your pants. I've been itching to do that since I thought about it last night. So, Mark, what's the...
You've got to be worried. You've got to be worried when you say "keep your hands out your pants" and you mention itching in the same
It
sentence.
just came in my head. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny? Sexy music, keep your hand out your pants.
You got ants in your pants, but that goes back to our joke from today.
Aye, 2,500 views. Boyan.
2,500 views, mate.
So this week we're doing. I guess it all relates to, or it can all relate to self-esteem, right? You know, if you're overthinking, comparing yourself to other people. I've got a story about that, actually, that involves Michael, and it was one of those light bulb moments. But yeah, so overthinking, comparing yourself to other people, insecurities, all relates to sort of self-consciousness, and maybe, like we were saying earlier on, that this is going to have some root in low self-esteem, perhaps, rather than just, you know, being able to just pick yourself up and know a thing. You're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, his stuff looks better than my stuff.
Yeah.
He looks much better at that than I do. Why is he wearing that? I'm not wearing this.
Yeah, I think, if you get down to the sort of grassroots of it, we're social beings, aren't we? And we're always... So the fact that we talk about these being sort of a negative connotation, they don't have to be. As long as we understand them, we're just looking how we measure up to other people. Now, if you start thinking about what we're here for, procreation, alpha males, looking attractive to the opposite sex,
shooting jizz.
You sort of... Yeah.
Jizz
What was
machine.
My daughter said to us, it was quite a good one actually, about so in 2,000 years when archaeologists dig us up, and they're trying to check which gender we are. So what will they find?
Probably that there isn't one. There were.
Well, they'll probably find that there's only two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got a skeleton there with some,
Yeah.
For me, they can be whatever they want to be. It's not a problem.
I'm not. It's really not.
Yeah. But when if you talk about, there are healthy comparisons. So when I like the way he smiles, or I like the way she says hello, when you're starting to get into comparisons in a sort of positive way, we learn a lot from
you pick
people,
them up as well, don't you? When you enjoy someone's affectations and mannerisms, you may deliberately or inadvertently pick them up, right, and start doing them yourself.
So when you're comparing, yourself in a positive way, like I like the way he does that. I like the way he does that introduction. I really could take some, So now we're moving into a positive connotation. The negative side of it, and I think we get into, and in terms of history, it's recent when we get into things like marketing, social media, cars,
status symbols.
If we're aware that we're being pushed in a direction to be compared to something or someone, if you're aware of it, then you can do something about it. So you can, I want to be Cristiano Ronaldo, but there is only one Cristiano Ronaldo, and I ain't going to get close to him. One, I'm 55, and two, he's, he is who he is. He's a unique human being, as am I.
Oh, you would have to lose something to be him, right? You'd have to lose.
Well,
you'd have to lose all that is
I don't want. I don't want to be too crude, but we used to joke about the Queen. Remember the Queen? The Queen's poos. She goes for a shit.
Even the Queen goes goes for a shit.
Yeah, even the Queen goes for a shit, and so does Cristiano Ronaldo. But when you say they go for a shit, we also don't know what shit's going on in their heads.
You don't. You don't know what insecurity she had. You don't know what insecurity. Well, you do if you watch Piers Morgan, but you don't know what insecurities that guy has. And even then, he only he's only said the ones he wants to tell you. You don't know what he's like when he's at home in his own four
no,
walls.
and the perception of me versus the perception of you, and our friends and family are completely different to what goes on in our
It's the
heads.
Johari window again, isn't it?
You
We
know,
keep coming back to that.
yeah, yeah,
What we see,
yeah,
what we know, and what
look,
other
we should,
people see.
yeah, yeah, and I was sort of looking at how do we sort of compare? Where we compare upwards, downwards, and lateral in terms of
In
social
and out.
aspects. So yeah, upwards, I want to be Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yep.
Um, Downwards, well, there's certain areas where I live and where I used to live that don't don't wash them. They always go to Aldi for their food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah. I've
yeah.
been accused of being a supermarket snob because I go to Sainsbury's. I'm like, well, why am I going to drive to one supermarket when I can walk to the other one? That
Yeah,
that's
you know,
my
and
that's my
and the
autistic
fact that
logic.
somebody
Well, it's just there, isn't it? It's not that much more expensive, and you kind of get everything you need in one shop, can you? In Aldi,
you can get everything you don't need at
yeah,
Aldi.
in the middle aisle.
What sort of drawbacks have we got in terms of comparing? What sort of drawbacks off the top of your head?
I've spent a large portion of my life doing it because I need to look like other people. I need to look and act like everyone else. Or at least this is what
Good luck with
this is
that.
what I'm led to believe, right? That I've got to come across in a way that's communicable, that I'm in some way nice enough to be around, not a fuss or a bother. I'm not weird to be around when I very much was. And most people these days don't know that I have autism, and I work very hard to make sure that happens. So, but it takes a massive mental toll that nobody knows the amount of effort I have to put in and how much that tires me out by the end of the day to look like you, just to work and act, speak like you, not you, but the royal you. All of that, all of the effort, and how
What happens if you
well
don't do the effort?
since spoke with a clinician and got the diagnosis, which I shared with you at the weekend. Um, since I had that, I let some of that go. I went, now I've got an answer. Now I know why. Now I know it's not because I'm bust necessarily. It's just my head works very different to yours, and I just said, you know what? I've got some people around me now who would actually have a go at me if they found out I was not letting them see things. They say, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Because I've got people around us who actually genuinely want to be around us. So
Exactly.
So it is a very different. My life's a very different show to the show that was on back in the day, and the people that are in it are very different. And
Why don't you let me decide if I want to be with you?
yeah, well, I used to do the opposite. I used to try very hard to make sure that I had people in my life and did whatever it took to, and I stopped the effort. Especially, you know what introverts are like, right? Introverts generally feed the extroverts, right? Because the extroverts generally take the energy from others in the room, and it's generally the introverts that are giving it out. And usually, an introvert is exhausted by the time they get home from being in a room full of extroverts, feeding off them and doing all the work for them, chasing and doing all the detail work and making sure, basically standing on the shoulders of introverts, right? So, used to take a lot out of it, isn't it? And in the end, do you know what it is? It wasn't worth it because it all ended in disaster anyway. All I was doing was a bit like Kaplunk, making sure you don't pull the wrong thing out. It all came to bits in the end anyway. So, if I'd just let it happen sooner, same with an ex-girlfriend that was hard to be with. As soon as I quit, as soon as we finished, my mates went, that should have finished a year ago. What?
Yeah.
So, well, you were doing this, and you put this in, you made this effort, you made that. So, what did it get you? Like, we all knew it was doomed. We just had to let you find that out. Because sometimes you don't listen, right?
And because you start, things like I mean, you were talking about magnifying your imperfections or trying to adjust for your imperfections. You know,
Perceived perceived
I've
imperfections,
probably got
like.
yeah, yeah. You know, and I've got 1,000 of them, but I don't care about them anymore. You know, um, you know, I suppose you know you're 13 again. Go back to being 13, or if you're 13 now, that's a tough journey, isn't it? You know, fitting in socially. The ones you admire are the ones that take the decision not to fit in. They're the ones that you admire, actually. Although they're the ones that
Yeah,
I
I
admire
sometimes
now.
wish that I could go back and just tell myself to accept it and say, look, you're going to
Yeah.
end up somewhere better, just not now. Now, I know now and the future seem very far apart from each other, but it comes pretty quickly. Yeah. And you'll get there. You'll enjoy getting there more, and you won't have all of this other trash in between. And if I could go back and say, look,
Yeah.
just chill, right? He's not worth it, and you'll see that that person isn't worth it. And there's that one. That one's going to self-destruct, and that's going to blow back on you. All of that.
Hmm.
But he seemed. I was
So
desperate
it's
for
like,
some sort of contact.
yeah, it's like envy. You know, I remember being envious when I was a kid of people who had money and perceived, you know,
Yeah.
material things. One of my mates, you know, at 16 got a motorbike.
Oh, I
I was
had one of
very
them.
envious.
A friend
Uh,
like that. I mean.
yeah, I was very envious. But you know, when you get to the point where does a motorbike make you happy? No, it doesn't. It's very short, short term of sort of what you might describe as happiness. The happiness, as we keep talking about, comes from within. So my envy, and then you know, actually knowing people who had certain things, they weren't actually happy. You know, with those material things. Um, and you know, I've learned over time that envy is not going to, you know, it's not
I
going to
sometimes
help me
ask
at all.
myself in the street when I see somebody doing something or carrying something, getting something, going somewhere, saying something, wearing something, whatever it is, something about I don't understand. I'm like, what's that about? Like, what they shouldn't? Why don't they do it in the and and I've stopped myself with one question: say, do they look happy though? Does that make them happy? Like, I think, is that all that matters? That all matters?
It's quite difficult because I think we do it in a non-aggressive way because actually we don't know the answer. Are
No,
they
no.
happy or not? Because
But
if you ask them, they'd probably
yeah,
lie to you.
but then it's almost like I'm trying to point out the pointlessness of my inner critique of a thing that's happening, and happens to me a lot because there's still shed loads about like I just don't get, and I don't know why that happens in that order, all of that, and it's just a thing that happens. A thought pops in my head. I don't mean it to. That doesn't make sense. What's that for? And then I've combated that with yeah, but if it makes them happy. Like, does it bug you? No,
Yeah.
no, not really. I just don't understand why that's happening that way. Well, but are you ever going to bump into that person again? Probably not. Probably not. So,
So benefits of the benefits in terms of comparing ourselves, we got things like it's gonna we've just touched on that motivates progress. So we're going to look at somebody and we're going to think it's a really nice quality that person's got. I am going to take some of that and I'm
what
going
create an
to
aspiration?
so that person says good morning to everybody every morning. I'm going to do that. I'm going to say
Because you
good morning
see
to
the
everybody.
reaction in the room, you go, "That's nice." Everyone seemed to
Yeah.
enjoy that.
I mean, I've got that as one of the one of the ways of sort of changing yourself. So if you smile at somebody in the street, they automatically smile back, and now I feel
I
better.
found that. I found that accidentally. I was smiling for
Yeah,
no reason, looked directly at someone, which is weird for me. I'm not good with eye contact. I'm not
I
good
do
with
it all
eye
the
contact
time.
or smiling, remembering to.
Yeah.
And I just happened to look across while I was thinking of some daft joke, and they smiled back, and I went, "Oh, that was weird. What happened there? What happened there? Was that me? Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. Oh, no, that was my fault. That's nice."
Yeah, but you know that sort of rush of endorphin. If we just practice that, you know, if we made a deliberate effort tomorrow to go out and the first person you meet, don't wait for them. You do it first. You actually smile at them and say morning, and instantly, 99 times out of 100, I get a smile and a morning.
Catches you off guard when someone does it, though, doesn't it? Like it's very. un-British
Well,
in some ways. Like, walk up to someone and
of
go,
course,
"All right,
yeah,
what? What do you want?"
but this is about me. This is about me. I want to feel good. So the way I'm going to get it is by saying good morning to somebody, and they're going to say it back to me, and that's going to make me feel good. And I even start looking now at the watch. So if it gets to like 5 to 12, it's like, oh shit, got to say good afternoon next time. Ooh, you know, and it's just like little mind games to keep yourself really positive. And it gives you feedback as well. It's like a loop feedback. So you sort of, you're getting that loop feedback that says, actually, people want that. People want to have that social
Does that
interaction.
mean you're getting into spreading a little karma? You know, the thing you don't believe in.
I don't believe in it. I just believe in
It's
paying it
happening
forward.
anyway, though, Mark. Whether you believe in it or not.
That's a mathematical
Whether you believe it,
improbability.
well, if you
You're a data guy.
study
Come on.
chaos theory and karma aren't that different, creating ripples and effects. And there's only 6 degrees of separation between you and someone else. Like, there are only 6 people between you and some random person on the street, statistically. So there are only 6 people between you and Cristiano Ronaldo. If you went and did either your family tree or your social tree, there'll be 6 people between you.
If you're comparing a lot, I think some of the things you can think of is we talked there, be aware you're doing it. So the first thing is to say, Mark,
I've just about
careful.
mastered that. I always,
Have you?
well, you know what I'm like for noticing stuff. I need to be worse at it.
Well, I think you need to get away from this fixation of my Manchester politician. I think you need to get away from
I did that for a laugh last night. I was on, because I've set up a Twitter account for the Gadgies. Right, and I've just been advertising posts. It's been getting a fair bit of engagement, right? And just this thing popped up and went. It just I don't know why you put him on there, but it just did. And it went, oh look, who's a hypocrite? This is what he said on this year. And look, he's just been done for speeding. And he's just said, oh, there's a problem with speeding in Manchester. Oh, he's just been done for doing 78 in a 40 zone.
78 and a 40
So I thought,
Burnham, yeah.
I'm going to copy and paste that into Mark's WhatsApp.
You did. What time did you go to bed last night? Because I got that like dawn's crack this morning.
I don't know, about 9 a.m. Is it 9 or
Was
10
it?
a.m.? Yeah. I think I've had about 3 or 4 hours. I just couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So I just went, well, then rather than rolling around, go, I gotta get to sleep. Don't go to sleep. So I sat and watched.
So you wouldn't have recognised the clock change last night, would you?
My mum just went for Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
Have you put your clocks forward? I have the same conversation every hour. All my clocks are like digital things, so they all just do it, right? So I wake up in the morning, it's already the right time. You put your clocks forward, but your mum's still got actual clocks. So I never changed the one in the oven though, because that requires some sort of PhD. I'm sure the buttons change every time I come to do it. So I've just turned the oven off.
Oh, yeah, that's one of life's little mysteries, isn't it? We need to do it, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
One of the things I think I find looking at your strengths, you've got some immense strengths, but I don't think we focus enough on our strengths. So when we're trying to stop doing self-comparison, we really need to be focusing on our strengths, and we've got a lot of strengths. Doesn't matter. And sometimes you find it hard to find them. But
doesn't it sometimes feel... Is this a British trait, perhaps, that, you're kind of adverse to stroking your own ego? Or feeling like you're stroking your own ego? Yeah. With a massive ego.
He's
right?
off.
But you know what I mean? You don't want to sit there and, big yourself up all the time, because then you start thinking, it makes you sound like a bellend, doesn't it? Look at you talking about yourself, how awesome you are. You're not that awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, well, maybe more people need to be positive like that, but for me, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to spend the whole day talking. I'll quite happily sit and tell somebody else all of the good stuff about them that I've noticed. And I can cite all the examples of when I spotted it, why I think they do it, the effect it has. I can give them all those details. Myself, no. No, I'm not very good at this though.
It's like compliments, isn't it? Take a compliment, right?
I don't know.
Simon, you're really good at that. Simon, you're really good at that.
I
Yeah.
don't have a
Now,
box for it.
what answer should come back is, you're right. I am good at that.
The best I can do is, do you think so? That's the best I've done so far. Is, you're really good at that. Do you think? Do you not think it's like? Do you not think it's like
So-
this, and this though?
So, Simon, are you ready? Watch this, Simon. Right. In terms of the analysis of the stuff that we've been doing over the last couple of months, I just think you're exceptionally talented at looking at this numbers in the detail you do.
Numbers?
Yeah, the numbers in terms of what we're doing here. You're exceptionally talented at doing that.
Well, pulling apart the analysis of the channel, you mean?
Stop it, you fucker! Just fucking say thanks.
I'm trying to nail down. I'm trying to nail down what you mean because it sounded vague, and I just thought, well, what do you mean? You mean the?
It's meant to be vague. I'm doing an example. Yeah, so and that's it. That's the problem we've got as people.
I have obsessive compulsive disorder and autism. You need to be more specific.
Yeah. No.
Well, then it's just not. It's never going to land unless you make a very specific point. It's just going to be like, what do you mean? Which bit?
But isn't it amazing how so many of us go, oh shucks, oh right.
No, I just interrogate it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
When, and how
So
many times?
are we now moving into your self-esteem level?
No, this is my brain saying, well, if you're going to say something, you have to prove it. Where's your evidence?
Yeah.
Well, quite often, because I pay so much attention to everything, and I have such a long memory, that if you can point something out that I haven't paid attention to, or rather I've seen it, dismissed it because it's a positive thing, you go, did you know you're really good at that? I saw you doing this then. And I can go, oh yeah, I can't deny that. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Mm.
That then, yeah, on that day, when you were doing this and that, this came out so well. That's about the best I get out is, can't argue with you. And I'll walk off, make a cup of tea.
Yeah. It's interesting. So is it, is it an English thing? Because
I don't know where to put it. There's no box there for it.
Yeah. All right. You're shit at that.
Yeah, I'm shit with compliments.
There you go. Yeah.
I need to be better with compliments. I can take that.
We get that one, don't we? So compliments come our way and we're like, oh, you need to be more specific. A negative comes, you're shit at this. Right, we're fully attentive now, aren't we? What are you talking about? What do you mean? You can't say that to me.
I'll just say, you're probably right. In fact, I can cite 15 examples. Yeah, I need to improve that. You're right. But then I don't always take these things to heart. I just see them as some sort of logical statement of fact that if it's true, I'll be like, yeah. If it's not prepare for an argument, because I'll be able to line up about 15 different memories and say, well, actually, in all these instances, this happened, that happened, and that happened because of this. It's a reason, not an excuse. I learned that from you.
How would you sort of, when we sort of use the word self-esteem, it sort of describes it straight away. It's self, and how would you describe your self-esteem?
No.
That's it. Have you just covered it?
I don't know. It's got a seat on the train. Doesn't do much though. It's eating all the biscuits.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's there. I talk to it now and again. It doesn't have an active role. It doesn't have a speaking part. How many analogies? Can I throw in?
Yeah. I did a analysis of mine yesterday. So throughout the history, and I sort of I had the word confident until 12 to 13. Then I used 3 words. 3 words are divorce, spots, and sport.
There's a combo. So
I was confident until Mum and Dad got divorced, and then I got lots of spots, and then I got told by a coach I wasn't very good anymore in terms of football, and my confidence completely went until I would say I was in my early 20s. And of course, early 20s, spots are dissipating. I found sport again. And then with that, my self-confidence started to improve. And then take it to the next level, doing the sort of course a few years ago, go on NLP, taught me about feelings, and that they're my feelings and I own them, and they're also my way out as well. So I learned a lot during that course about self, and then you can add on the word esteem afterwards. So it's how I view myself. So if I view myself badly, then change it.
If you want a positive review,
I do.
One thing I will say is, while it might be in a neutral state, that's a step up from where it was. So, considering I went from having some to having none, to having it regularly stamped on, to then having a little bit when it came to realising I was good at a good number of things. And then that actually started having an effect on other people, and I was helping other people with all the things that I could do and understand and explain. Didn't know I was a good teacher. I've been told that more than once. I never thought that would be true, not given the way my head works.
Yeah.
But apparently I'm a pretty good teacher. So, you know, it's been pecking away, and every now and again it just gets lifted up a step. You know, next step. It's eventually getting to sort of an even floor. Oh, I love an analogy. Since I met you and the team back in 2010, a lot of things changed then. And I think one of the biggest boosts to that was some honesty, some actual friendships, some real solid ones that are still there, even though we don't always speak. You know, me and Michael still have a good laugh now and again. Not often, but then it doesn't have to be often. Me and you, me and Sarah, me and a couple of others. Genuine. And I feel like at least, I feel like my self-esteem's taken a breather. Put it that way. It's had such a hard time. Like, for once, it's got nothing to contend with. It's just sat there going, I'm recovering, right? So I'll say that it was beaten to crap for most of my life, and then now finally it's got some peace and quiet. And maybe at some point I'll figure out how to give it some stuff to do, some positive stuff to do. But I'm just happy at the minute.
And do you think
that there is some, and that it's not constantly hurting, if you know what I mean? It's just sat there going, I'm just sat here for a bit. I'm just going to chill out. I'll be with you in a minute. So,
do you think it's to do with positive affirmation and being aware of yourself?
That's happened more since I met you and, you know, Andy, Michael, the guys in Germany as well. So the journey I've been on is, without realising it, had a bolstering effect. Gave me time to get away all of the clutter and the damage and build a nice place for myself. That it's fairly empty at the minute, but if you'd seen what it was like, it would look like a massive improvement. So while by your standards I'm not this out and out positive person, but if you'd seen what I was, you'd see the improvement. And that to even be neutral is quite a step for me. And I do have me moments when, and I have started listening, especially when, you know, Kelsey doesn't always give you a choice in taking a comment, right? And she's always drumming home some of the things I've helped her with, stuff that you've helped her with, stuff that we've done together, how she's doing management-wise. And I attribute all of that to her and what she was capable of in the first place. And she keeps pushing stuff back on me, saying, you taught me this, you're a good teacher, you're really good at this, you know loads about this. And I'm like, hold on a minute, shut up. But
I'm going to do a test with you now. I'm going to do a test on the Kelsey principle. I'm going to do a test with you, and you are only allowed to say one word, and that word is thank you. Are you ready?
that's 2 words.
Are you ready? Ah, fucking hell, you.
Could say thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Are you ready? You can say it. You can say. You can say. No, you've got to say 2 words. Thank you. Just to be an arse. Yeah. You ready? You are a wonderful person.
Shut up. That was 2 words.
Got you.
2 words.
I've just realised I laugh like my brother. Yeah. When we're it's not so, there's bits where we've been doing these recordings. I was talking about your joke the other week that got me flipping.
4 cans and
when
a
you were
dog.
talking about the 4 cans and a dog from a pandemic, and that just like that sent me over the edge. That and stuff like that where we're putting you in such an awkward position that you don't want to say thank you. That just creases me.
Yeah, well, it's, I'm not one for taking
Yeah,
credit.
and so because I know we're trying to sort of deal with time here as well, but insecurities. So we're getting in. Yeah, I know. In terms of insecurities, that's where we're sort of angling that one towards you because just saying thank you for a compliment means that we find it extremely difficult.
The
Yeah.
fact that we're here right now, as good of friends as we are, doing the project that we're doing, as consistently as we're doing it, and having worked on some of the other things that we've worked on, and enjoyed them, learned from them. I mean, all of that is, from my perspective, is massive. So to be where we are right now is a billion miles away from the hole I was in. So I'm pleased to be mostly neutral because it's a really nice change to constantly being in the doldrums. So
Yeah, I get. We play with you play with the English language on thank you for me, and my dyslexia kicks in, and I'll say to you, neutral doesn't exist. Only in your level, that's not neutral
well,
for me.
it was just my way of describing a peaceful quiet. Like
Yeah.
it's not a horrible silence. It's just my mind is quieter these days than it ever was.
Good.
And for me, that's a luxury. That's something I'm pleased about. And it's in part thanks to that family that we created. And it became a family.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
absolutely did.
100%.
It wasn't. I know this
Yeah.
always sounds cheesy on movies and TV shows and all of that. It's true. And we did support each other. We've seen each other. Me, you, Michael, Ben, all of us seen each other through some tricky shit. And
I did some psychological profiling on myself a while ago, and I worked out why some of that happens because I need a sense of belonging. So when you've got a lot of people that are together that need a sense of belonging, you create this family atmosphere, don't you?
you
In
do,
work.
and we all saw you as the dad. Because you just had this. You had an air about you. It wasn't just the dad jokes. I think it was the structure you created without trying. Like you led, and we followed because everything you were saying made sense, and then we all ended up with a role, which is why we ended up out in Germany in the first place, because we all found our spot. We all found our spot, and we all had an outlet for that thing that we could do, and we all did it well. I mean, Michael was the same. He look at how well he'd sorted everything out by the time we left heaven. And then all the stuff he did once he was in Germany. Look at all the stuff that Ben did in terms of stock and stock management. All that stuff, all of it, all of the things we achieved. As much as it bugs me to have to say something lovely. It was it's you know when you mentioned the percentage. That's stuck with me since, because I didn't know the exact number, because obviously I left before you did. But then I left a legacy of some tools and things to play with that still helped you out, right? When you said it was over 260%, that's been bouncing around my head since. I thought, Jesus, we achieved that. That's massive. That's massive, and we did it. We did it with multiple cultures.
Yeah,
because we had Romanian, Lithuanian, German.
38 nationalities we had in that warehouse.
But we had the same in heaven.
Yeah.
We had loads of Eastern Europeans. We had people from south this and north that. We had from across the pond as well. So we had them from all over the place. And we managed to mix all of those identities and cultures together into one homogenous group. So it looked like one group, but they all retained their individual identities, and they all had something to bring, and they were all listened to. It's just a shame the rest of the company doesn't do that, but we did well.
You know how we did it? We did it as we would do as improving as people. We did it 1% at a time, and that 230 odd percent or 260%, whichever you quoted there, we do it 1% at a time. And when we're overcoming issues, I'm just going to go on to a bit of a list about getting over insecurities. Some of the things we can do is confront your feelings rather than avoid them. That's a really tough one, but we have to confront them.
It's the hardest bit, I think.
Yeah. Confront them, acknowledge them, and work through them in your head, because that's going to give you the biggest advantage. Have a growth mindset rather than a static mindset. Fixed. We say growth versus fixed mindset. If you've got a growth mindset, knowing that we've got some issues going on in our head about insecurities, we'll then grow. Prepare for setbacks. You just said there, neutral is not necessarily a setback, but we're aware that, in terms of our self-confidence or insecurities, it's like that for life. It is like that. Now, if you know how to deal with that better than actually I do, I think, because because of your diagnosis, you've learned to deal with those waves a lot better than I have.
But I have a process.
Yeah, but that's okay. Nothing in terms of growth is easy.
True. That's true.
It's not easy. Embrace all of your characteristics and passions. Passion is a good one. So if you've got something that you're passionate about, and it helps your insecurities, well, do more of it. Just do more of it.
This is a recent thing.
If you like talking, if you like gardening, if you like dieting, if you like whatever, just do more of it. I'm not going to go through the whole list of the stuff I wrote down. Try new things that make you happy. Try new things. I think be proud of your progress, no matter how big or small. And I find this really tough, because I find it very difficult to celebrate success, as we did.
How many times have we had a company offsite where the title of it was something about either reflecting or recognizing success or that kind of thing, and we all went, yay, this is all great, and then next day it's just gone. It's gone.
The people that are listening to this, I have insecurities. I've had insecurities for most of my life. You've had some, but listen to the stories from other people, and then say, well, I'm not broke. I'm not broke because other people have insecurities.
You're not alone.
It's just how to deal with it.
There are other people in the room with you that some of them are having exact same thoughts as you, a variation, similar, or have had them, or will have them at some point. It feels very insular. I am the only person that has had this thought about this thing, or feels this way about this thing. That is never true. Never true. There are 8 billion people, and you're having that one unique thought that no one else has had. No.
I don't like red. There's a lot of people who don't like red. It's just one of those. Yeah. But it was quite an interesting one, that one. And I think the last bit about insecurities is like, um, we talked there about being bold and brash, and that you've got to be careful not to be overconfident as well. I saw we started using the boxing analogy, and I wrote a boxing analogy that the fighter who goes into a fight thinking it's an easy fight and doesn't prepare ends up getting smacked in the face and dropped.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily. I don't want to finish on a negative connotation, but be aware that those little things about prepping on ahead, about focusing forward, also helps us as well. So those little, you talk about over analyzing a lot. Now, I think you do it too much, but you're actually like a boxer preparing for something.
Yeah, these days it's more of a tool than an obsession, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
these
exactly.
it took a while, but some of the things, including my obsessive compulsiveness, I've engaged it as a thing to get me places. So all of these things that I originally saw as flaws or getting in the way or causing me to do X, Y, and Z, I'm like, but if you engage with it, I can obsessively work through the night to get a thing done, and it gets done well. Right, as we found out during work, I can just get the thing done, get out on time, make sure that it works, and we can just fire and forget, right? And just say, there you go. That's because of all of the other things that you may have seen as negative that you've engaged, your obsessive compulsiveness, your a way that you would just go down a rabbit hole and time just disappears around you. Yes, but you've sat there, got it done, you've really thought about it. Yes, you were overthinking about this problem, but you've seen all these other things coming. So if you can engage it as a tool rather than a flaw, like, how can I use that? That's what I've tried to do. How can I use that? Does that give me any advantages? Well, it turns out some of these things we see as character flaws can actually have advantages when you see them as tools and you try and leverage them in some way, which is what I've tried to do, is leverage some of this stuff that my brain just does. Yeah, but how can I use that? Rather than trying to delete it, fix it, patch it over, what can I do with it? So I did. I still do. There's still a few bits I'm working on, but that's essentially what I've done.
Simon, you're a very talented man.
I'm very bearded at the moment as well.
On that note, well done. Sorry. Thank you, Simon.
You're welcome. Yeah. I'm maybe it's one of your life's greatest challenges from a coaching perspective.
We've got years ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, we're both going to get to 100, right? So
exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. We might need that IE intelligence you're talking about to do the communication.
Oh, the artificial stuff. We'll be wearing hats that and talking telepathically by then, man. Way I.
Yep.
Or we'll have holographic screens. Don't think about porn. Don't think about porn. Oh, it keeps coming up with porn. Get your hand out your pants.
We're finished the way we started.
Exactly. I like to create a loop, Good comedians do that. They always do a callback to something they said at the start, like a plant, and they pick it up. Yeah. Anyway, next week. Ooh, hey. Yeah. I'll drop a little hint. I'm going to speak more about it on Facebook, but we've been discussing doing a live episode, a bonus. So we'll still do our weeklies, but just throwing in this little live one at the end of April, which means you can log into YouTube. Now, maybe there's another platform.
Well, Ray did ask about that.
Yeah.
He did ask about.
You can link in Facebook and do a live cast. But I'm like, but then you've got like 9 screens and chat windows you've got to look at. So I thought, for our first one, let's just jump into YouTube, because this podcast and stuff does it for you, right? So you can jump into the chat. The live chat scrolls by. We can watch all the questions pop up in the chats and the whatnot. We might even have some dad joke competitions in there. And we'll come in with a subject, but the subject can meander a bit, and it's a good way for us to interact with you live. Why not? So,
have you got one of your sound effects? Have you got tumbleweed for when nobody turns up?
Now, see, Now, see, I think someday we're going to be big. You're not convinced. You think no one's going to turn
No.
up? Yeah, we've just hit 16,000 views and 45 subscribers on YouTube alone. Forgetting that Apple's already in 3 digits and fast approaching 200 on there, and it's building up on Spotify. We've got 753 on Facebook. So, you know, when you said that back in the day, I set out to prove you wrong, because I took it as a challenge. So, this time next year, Rodney.
Well, yes, we'll be winning.
Nunes! Right, so, next week, we've got a couple of bits that we're still debating, so I'll let you know on Facebook. Do all of the clicky things, the likes, subscribes, follows, shortbread biscuits, and we'll see you next week. Take care.